Okay, so the first topic that I thought that we could talk about today is what's happening in the world of motorsports, and Formula One is obviously like the shiniest toy in the world of motorsports.
The
So
pinnacle of motorsport.
the pinnacle of motorsports, is that debatable or no?
I mean,
Like
most
someone
people
who's in NASCAR, would they agree with that statement?
probably not, but in the motorsport bubble, F1 is often referred to as the pinnacle. It is debatable, but that's not the point here. Let's move on a bit.
Okay, so the point over here is obviously how did you get interested in F1, and then let's also talk about what do you think is happening in this year's or in this season's race so far.
Great question. Thank you. So, until 2018, 2019, right? That kind of period, I had no idea of this thing called Formula One. It was only, again, around that same time period when you came and introduced me to this. Of course, since I was so young, I only had interests in the game, interactive, rather than just watching cars move in circles on the screen. So I got into the groove a little bit of the game. And I don't really remember how I felt about it, but I was captivated by it. Right? The idea. Of course, I didn't have the mental capacity or strength to sit through a 2-hour session of F1. But the idea was in my head. And then after Abu Dhabi 21, right? The big Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen clash season. That's when I really, thought maybe the actual sport may not be too bad. And in the precursor to the big regulation change, right? 22. I was following F1 closely, right? Every team revealing their cars, who might be ahead, who might be on the back foot. And then the Bahrain 2022 Grand Prix, the open of the new season, that was the first race I ever watched live, right? I remember that vividly, right? I remember Crofty's iconic line at the beginning, a new season, a new dawn of Formula One. And that whole regulation period was heavily pushed by F1 and Liberty Media as the era of overtaking, right?
Okay.
The-
This was in 2022.
Yes.
Okay.
This was going to be the season where everyone is overtaking, right? Where races are unpredictable and more exciting than ever. And Bahrain was quite a grand showcase of that.
Is that also the Bahrain race where the big accident happened for the Haas for Grosjean?
Oh no, that was the same
was
track,
another one.
but it was 2 years before. That was 2020.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So this is all after the whole Netflix Drive to Survive, after all of that hype.
Yes,
right?
this was
Okay.
the 4th year of Drive to Survive. This is the 4th season.
Okay.
So Drive to Survive in F1's fan base had been quite well established
Established.
by then. So yeah, as I was saying, the Leclerc and Verstappen fight was, even by today's standards, iconic, to say the least, right? Every corner, you didn't know who was going to be ahead, right? And I believe on YouTube there are these awesome videos from the F1 channel about the helmet camera of the car. Of course, there was the whole porpoising thing. You couldn't really see that well, but it was, honestly, I really loved those videos actually.
Was the helmet camera an introduction in that year?
No, I believe it was introduced the previous year, 21. But I think it got more widely adopted by all the teams that year. So yeah, Bahrain 2022, was quite a grand showcase of that. Of course, unfortunately, after that, I couldn't watch the following races due to health conditions. But I followed the highlights hours after they came out. Right? And that whole year, I remember supporting Ferrari with all my heart. Right? Every race, I was just praying that they won.
Did you buy any of their merchandise?
Yes, I believe you also got a lot of them for me. You got me a hat with Leclerc's driver number on it, as well as a shirt. I think it's a bit undersized by now. Ironically, that was probably the worst year to be a Ferrari fan.
Why? Because they did the worst?
Yes. The car was better than Red Bull at the beginning of the year. But their strategy blunders and the reliability of their engine were just, well, they just caused me depression, to be quite frank.
So you're not putting the blame on the drivers for that season.
There was some errors, especially, France was a bit of a driver error. But, Monaco.
Who were the drivers? Who was the second driver?
Yeah, now I'm pretty sure it's Lewis Hamilton, but back then it was Carlos Sainz. But yeah, drivers were mostly fine, except for a few cases. But the team performed pretty poorly. The big strategy blunder in Monaco, in Hungary, they could have been completely avoided. They were completely brought on by the strategy team. And excuse me. Azerbaijan was a complete shit show for them, right? Double DNF because of engine failures. Austria, Carlos Sainz engine burst into flames. So yeah. And because of that, they had to tune down their engines for the rest of the season, which, yeah, really put them on a back foot with Red Bull.
So let's move on. So you were disappointed by, as a Ferrari fan in that season. And then did you change your loyalties in the next season?
Actually,
The next year will be 2023.
Yeah, 2023.
Right.
Statistically, the most dominant year of F1. I believe I did follow the races, but not anywhere as closely because it was quite a boring season, to be frank.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. By dominant, you mean one-sided and boring?
But
By dominant, when you said the most dominant season of F1, you mean the most one-sided and the most boring season?
yes, it was the year where Max Verstappen, he just, for lack of a better word, just completely
Walked over
destroyed
everyone.
competition.
Yeah, ran over
Yeah.
everyone. Okay, so let's skip that season. Then we go into 24, where again I think Max Verstappen and Red Bull repeat their performance, right?
Yes. But crucially, that only lasted for the first half of the season. From Miami, I am pretty confident that McLaren had the best car with their MCL 38, I believe.
And Miami was like, what, 60%, 70% into the tournament?
No, around 40%.
40%. Oh, okay. So Miami happens early.
Yeah. Lando Norris won that race. His first ever win. And the first win for McLaren in, I think, since 21. I may be wrong. But since Monza 21, I think. So yeah, I think that's when the tables began to turn a little bit in the favor of McLaren. Since that race, I believe McLaren actually had the better championship contender. Excuse me. But I think Max Verstappen is the better driver, There may be a hot take, but I do think currently and even then, Max Verstappen was the best driver.
Best.
Yeah. He was the cream of the crop.
Okay.
Right? He's a generational talent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, go on.
Towards the end of the season, McLaren was taking points out of Red Bull and Norris was taking points out of Verstappen. And McLaren even won the constructors that year. Right? With Ferrari following close behind.
Oh, and so Red Bull wasn't even second in terms of constructors.
No, Red Bull was actually third.
So it was like a pretty bad showing for Red Bull then.
Yeah, but that was actually chalked down to Sergio Perez's poor performance. Now,
It's I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I agree with that tactically, but then there's always been this case where the second driver in Red Bull is tagged as a low performer. So is there more systemically, is there something bigger that is wrong with Red Bull where everything is geared towards just the way Verstappen drives, the way Verstappen wants to do things, and the second person, poor fellow, is always struggling to catch up?
yeah, that's a good point. Yes, since 2015, I believe, when Max Verstappen became a full-time F1 driver for Red Bull, I believe it's 17 actually, Red Bull has always treated him as their golden boy, right? They are really, really scared to lose him because at this point, he's become the identity of Red Bull, right? He is Red Bull Racing. And his dad lets them know that, Jos Verstappen, right? Former F1 driver. So yes, the car, right? The way it drives, the way it handles is, I think, objectively geared toward Verstappen, right? His very front load nature, right? He has a very sensitive front. And someone like Alex Albon or Sergio Perez, they prefer an understeering car. So it can really clash with their own driving style. And to kind of get Verstappen this kind of subordinating teammate that Red Bull wanted, to kind of, give him the crown, right? They had to, they had to, I don't say pluck, but they kind of pulled Sergio Perez from his seat because he was about to lose it, right? To Sebastian Vettel, I believe, at Racing Point. But he did have a very good showing that year.
What is that?
2020.
Did they bring in Sebastian Vettel?
Aston Martin brought in Sebastian Vettel. Well, soon to be Aston Martin. It was then Racing Point. The 2020 Sakhir Grand Prix, right? Lewis Hamilton was tested positive for COVID and George Russell had to sit in for him. But the Mercedes, we can leave that out for now. But what I'm interested in is Sergio Perez. This was a man who had no seat for next year, right? After the first chicane, he was plumb last, right? 20th place. And then through skill and luck, depending on what proportions, pit stops, through on-track overtaking, Sergio Perez, right? When the flag fell, he was first. He won that Grand Prix. Last to first in a car that probably didn't have it to win. Right? His first ever win. And yet, he was going to be sitting it out for maybe the rest of his life. And for a team that already decided to lay off Alex Albon, right? They wanted him. And he already proved that he could be a subordinating driver, right? So they brought him in and he performed pretty well. He was scoring well. 2021, he defended Hamilton like crazy, right? Turkey and Abu Dhabi. He was not letting Hamilton through. This is for Verstappen. So this was kind of the perfect matchup, right? But since Barcelona 23, Sergio Perez told the media and his team that the car's development was going astray. And that, of course, butterflied worse and worse. And by the end of 24, he's doing quite poorly. Combined with many crashes and incidents, Red Bull leadership, Christian Horner and Helmut Marko, they decided to just let him go. Right? And they had their eyes on this new hotshot rookie, Liam Lawson. He'd already driven for them in whatever it's called, VCARB, right? Alpha Tauri.
Red Bull, what is that?
Racing Bulls now.
Toro Rosso,
Yeah.
Racing Bulls, whatever, yeah.
So they had decided to put him in, right? This poor rookie in a car that's completely geared against him, in a system that doesn't want to see him succeed.
So let me pause there and then say, okay, so is Red Bull always looking for an average person for their second driver? They don't want someone who's aspiring for the win. They just want someone who's good enough to give them some points so that they can go for the constructors while focusing completely on Max Verstappen winning the race.
Yes.
So they are essentially looking for someone who's good enough but not great.
Exactly.
How does that make the second drivers feel? Why would they still join knowing that they are not expected to win and they are not supposed to win and they will not be set up to win?
Right. Let's look at this from someone who's come out of F2, right? A new rookie.
Before you say that, right? Do you believe that's the right thing to do for a company like Red Bull, or do you think that they have got this completely wrong and they, and they are just doing something that is going to take them down eventually?
So I believe carrying through into 2025, Max Verstappen, maybe, this is just speculating here, maybe a lot of people say he didn't really like Christian Horner, right? That may be potential for his sacking.
So
right?
there's a third leg in this trifecta, right? There's Helmut Marko, who has the Austrian promoters backing. There is Christian Horner, who has the Thai promoters backing. And there is Jos Verstappen, who's the father of the lead driver, and the lead driver, they put in so much eggs in that same basket that the lead driver and therefore his father have a lot of say in terms of how the company takes its decisions. So it's like a trifecta. It's like three people who are trying to control bits and parts of the company.
Yes, that is. And
It sounds very messy to me.
it is extremely messy. Red Bull,
It's surprising that they've done well despite all of those dynamics going on.
I know, I think, yeah, even I'm just kind of astonished that
Maybe
how
it's
they
a-
managed to succeed like that.
It's testimony to how good their engineering team is and their racing strategy team is, right? And of course, the driver is good. There's nothing to take away from Max.
But yeah, that became really, really, really messy coming into early 25, right? Especially since Liam Lawson, the rookie I was telling you about earlier, after just 2 races, right? Not even enough to get adjusted to this new car, he was sacked, right?
Was it only 2 races?
Yes, only 2 races.
Please remind me of all the people who got sacked from that second driver's position, right? So we start with Pierre Gasly.
Right.
Pierre Gasly was replaced, I think, midway through that season
Yes.
by Albon.
Yes,
And
then Albon.
probably continued for like almost a year or so, or like
Yeah.
the rest of the season. I'm not sure, but he was replaced by Sergio Perez,
Yes,
and then Checo almost did like a year or 2 years.
2 years.
And then he was replaced by who?
Liam Lawson.
Liam Lawson. Okay, and then Liam Lawson just did 2 races.
Yes.
and he was replaced by
Yuki Tsunoda.
Yuki Tsunoda. So now let's move on to what's happening in 2025. Right, so we've talked about Red Bull's challenges. We've talked about maybe the organization setup that is, pulling them in different directions. We've talked about the challenges that that Ferrari has had in the previous seasons, right? And we've talked about how McLaren showed promise in 2024, but then it was a bit too late in the season. So how is all of this translating into the performance in 2025? Obviously, the one thing that we haven't talked about is that there were changes in the Mercedes camp as well, where Hamilton moved out and moved into Ferrari, where he is the second driver. Can we call him the second driver or no?
I'm not sure.
Or second
Ferrari.
amongst equals?
I
No?
think Ferrari is kind of siding with McLaren with the 2 number 1 drivers
Okay.
kind of play.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay. So they have had some changes as well, right? So, and Mercedes, in place of Hamilton, they have gotten in a youngster, Antonelli.
yeah.
Antonelli. Okay. Okay. So how is everything playing out in 25?
25, yes. Since the start of the season, right? McLaren has been, without a doubt, the fastest team, right? Their car is pretty much perfect in every way. Their tires can last a hell of a lot longer than any other car, right? Their aero is just super. The Mercedes engine has been quite iffy this year, but it's been okay for McLaren. Right? I think their cooling system maybe at play here. But yeah, McLaren has absolutely dominated it. Right? In the early parts of the year, Lando Norris. Towards the mid part, Oscar Piastri actually, I think he outshined Lando Norris by quite a significant margin. Lando always bottled qualifying. And there's his nickname.
Bottled.
Yes.
What does that term mean?
It kind of means screwed up.
Is that a Gen whatever alpha term?
I don't think it's a Gen Alpha term. I think it's just a F1 term.
Okay.
He bottled it.
Okay.
And there's this quite little bit offensive nickname they became for Lando Norris called Lando No Chances into Turn 1. Because
Okay.
he's been known to be really bad into the first few corners, losing multiple places. That's also happened this year.
Okay.
And yeah, he's lost a lot of races to his teammates,
Okay.
his teammate. And Oscar Piastri has taken the lead of the championship and
Okay.
run away with it.
Okay.
Of course, that has changed now, but I'm getting to that. So, I'm not sure when. I think around Hungary, Lando Norris began winning again. I think he came off a hot streak from Austria. Going into the summer break, Lando Norris had cut down his teammates' lead of the championship. And Ferrari, as they were, unfortunately, But coming out of the summer break, right? Max Verstappen has stolen the spotlight once again. Whether it is because Red Bull has gotten a little better, whether Max has found his footing, or whether McLaren is stumbling, with all this prioritization issues. Max Verstappen has won a lot of races, right? And he's won by like 20 seconds. So Max Verstappen, people were saying that he could be a real contender for the title. Right? He was a real threat to McLaren. Right? And then...
But he still is, no?
He still is, yes. Yeah. We don't know how this could go. I think we have what? Brazil, Las Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi still left to go.
Only 4 races.
Yeah, only 4 races.
So let's just take a step back. Okay, so for now, McLaren has stood up or has kind of, stood up to the promise that they had last year, right? So they have still done well. They have already won constructors. Now it's about who wins the drivers' championship, right? At number 2, who is number 2 now, constructors wise?
Number 2, not sure. I believe Ferrari or Mercedes, one of them.
So do you think that Ferrari will be happy with their performance this year? Because they had no promise last year as well.
No, they had promise last year.
Okay.
Because the last few races, Carlos Sainz, I believe he won Mexico City.
But he's anyway out.
Yeah, that's kind of...
But instead of him, there is Hamilton. So we can't really explain a low performance because you've actually traded in Carlos Sainz with someone who's considered to be a better driver.
Yes. But it could be with, age or whatever.
He's still young.
Huh?
He's still young. He's what, 30?
Huh?
6?
30, 38, 39-ish.
30, 39. Okay, yeah. That's still young by my standards. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, for a motorsport driver, he is aging, right?
Yeah. Understood, yeah.
For a motorsport driver.
Yeah, so you feel like that might have harmed Ferrari. You feel like if they had stuck with Carlos Sainz, they might have done better.
Yes, but the thing is, Lewis Hamilton was quite good even the previous year, winning the 24 British Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Right? So, either he really, fell off in the last 1 year-ish, but I don't think that can happen. Or maybe it was a stress, a completely new environment after what? 2013, I think. So, almost 12 years at Mercedes. It could be the shock of that change. Or maybe just the way the Ferrari drives, The Ferrari has showed promise. In Mexico, Leclerc qualified second. And I believe in Hungary, he even qualified pole.
Okay.
Of course, due to technical errors and issues with the car and the way it was handled, Ferrari have not won any races. So, right, it's only been George Russell, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen. I may be wrong, but I believe these are the only 4 people who have won a race this year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So that's Ferrari. And where do you think Mercedes is? And like in terms of their satisfaction with the season?
Okay. Mercedes, of course, they have been one of the only 3 teams who've won a title, right? Not a title, I mean, who've won a race with George Russell. Canada, and what other races he won? I can't.
But a few races. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, they are doing fine. They of course have a bit of an issue where their car heats up their tires too quickly. So they do really well in the cold. But they do really, really poor in heat.
How do they feel about Antonelli? Has he showed up? Has he stood up to his promise?
That is quite debatable. Antonelli...
But he's also a very young kid. He's like 18, 19, whatever.
Exactly. He is young, but the precedent set for him, filling in the shoes of statistically, the best driver in Formula 1, statistically.
Who?
Lewis Hamilton.
Well, but he's not filling in Lewis Hamilton's shoes. He's technically filling in George Russell's shoes. And George Russell is kind of taking up the Lewis Hamilton position.
You could put it like that. But either way, he is replacing Lewis Hamilton, right? From a numbers point of view, right? He is now the next driver in Mercedes.
So far, whatever you've seen of him, have you been encouraged? Do you think he has a future?
Of course, there have been instances like in Canada, he got a podium. with two McLarens in his mirrors. That must have been quite scary. He
Who
still
knows? Maybe he gets egged on by that, right? Maybe he gets motivated by that.
maybe, but personally, I think if I saw two orange rocket ships on my mirror, I would be quite scared.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But of course, there have been some moments like Austria, just not many moments in general except Austria, but he's just not lived up to the expectations, right? He has surpassed his teammate in some races, but George Russell, more experienced driver, he is better. Also, it is a bit unfair on Antonelli, he's an 18-year-old, right?
18, right?
Yeah. And
So
he's,
he's only 4 years older than you.
yes.
Right.
So, to be expected to perform on the level Max Verstappen was performing, in that same age range, is not something that is good for the development of a young driver,
Okay.
right? Expectations, especially when you're being compared to Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton or any of the greats, Fernando Alonso, right? That is not a good thing, right? You're expected to be the best.
But my counterpoint to that is, why would you then get him into Formula One? Right? He's only 18 years old, but you brought him because you see some potential in him, right?
Yes,
I would say once you're in it, then you should not use your inexperience or age as an excuse beyond, let's say, the first few races. Right? After that, if you still feel that's an excuse, then you got to make way for someone older and then wait your time out till you feel you have the maturity.
I think that's a fair point.
No? Yeah, because like once you're in the game, then you're in the game. Then there's no saying, hey, I'm so much younger or I'm so much older. No, if you're in the game, then you have the ticket and then you have to do it.
Yes, that's exactly why it's called drive to survive, right? You don't drive, you don't survive.
Yes, yeah. Because the poor guy, he might, have a premature end to his career even before he's turned 21, 22, right? Which is also not fair. So I think even the racing teams have the responsibility to only bring in people when they feel like they will be able to handle the pressure.
Yes.
Like I think Piastri was great, right? He came in also quite at a young age, but I think he was groomed pretty well for the job. He seemed to have the maturity of a much older guy.
That actually take into account, he actually had a gap year before. Meaning the previous year, 22, he actually didn't race in F1. So he just sat there gathering dust. So that's with Piastri.
Do you think that would have helped?
That actually probably did not help. It actually probably made his situation worse. But he still managed to perform on the level expected of a rookie. And as of this year, he's kind of surpassed everybody's expectations, right? Taking up the championship lead so early. But yeah, coming back to Antonelli here, I believe he actually skipped F3. He went straight from Formula 4 to Formula 2. So maybe that kind of... So he, of course, even in that kind of category, he has less experience than everyone, right? In F2 as well. I saw this when Piastri was actually leading the championship, where the F1 championship leader, right, was younger than the F2 championship leader.
Okay.
So sometimes, even if you have money, let's leave this out of the equation for now. But if you really show something extraordinary, right? Even if it was for one season, you have to realize that you have everybody's eyes on you, right? You're gonna have Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren. They're all eyeing you up, even if you don't know it, right?
Okay. When did you first? When did Piastri first draw your attention? When did you first notice him? Like notice him. Like, okay, this guy seems to be something different.
24, I had seen that he won a sprint race and won the 23 he won a sprint race. 24,
This is Oscar Piastri.
yes,
right?
yes. 24, he won the Hungarian Grand Prix in a very debatable way, but he still won.
Okay.
So that's when I really thought, and especially with the turn 4 and the 4 and 5 chicane overtake on Lando Norris, where he dive bombed from quite far back, kept it clean, and took the lead of the race on the first lap. Right? That was the making of a championship. Right? Of course, nothing came of it, but it was a sign.
And this is 2024, so he was racing for McLaren then. Right?
Yes, he's always raced for McLaren in his whole F1 career.
Yeah, I mean, I took notice of him when he was like a trainee or a practice driver, whatever, for I think Renault?
Alpine.
Right? And then Alpine lost someone. I think they lost Alonso.
Yep.
And they made the announcement on social media that Piastri would be the next driver. And then a day later, Piastri posts on X saying, "I'm not joining Alpine." Something of that
Yes.
sort, right? I think that's when I took notice of him. Like a teenager having so much guts to go out in the world and say that these guys don't know what they're talking about. And the guy, it's not just any guys, it's like the team that he's currently employed with. Right. So that's when I first took notice of him, that his confidence seemed to be completely something. It's like, I don't think I would have done that. Or I don't think I would recommend you to do that. Right.
Yeah.
But he seemed to do it, and he seemed to have the confidence. And maybe he got that confidence from McLaren. They must have already assured him that, hey, you have a seat with us.
Yes.
And you have a better future with us. So just go out there and do whatever you have to nullify the statement that Alpine has made. But it must have hurt Alpine a lot.
Of course. Alpine was dumbstruck by the statement. There was a whole legal scenario with that. But I believe more than McLaren, his mentor and manager, Mark Webber, played a much greater role. Now, Mark Webber, right, for those who are not aware, played number 2 to Sebastian Vettel in Red Bull for quite a long time, even during his championship reign. He was always given the number 2 spot. Right, he could never surpass him. So Mark Webber did not want that for his, his Australian mate. So Mark Webber, he was very assertive, saying, if you guys are not going to help him, then we have no interest in you. I think it was that mindset that kind of was the reason why he defaulted from Alpine and went to McLaren.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now let's talk about what's happening with the drivers' championship in 2025, right? So it seems like it's a close race again, something that wasn't expected, but it's turning out to be like that now.
Yep, it's getting a lot closer now.
Okay.
Piastri has recently, in the last race...
Who are the 3 guys in contention?
So, it's the 2 McLaren boys. Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen.
The unlikely contender?
I don't know if I would say that.
At least after the first few races, I think he was lagging behind, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was quite far behind. He still has a chance. Not too great, but not too negligible. So recently, in the recent Mexico City Grand Prix, Lando Norris took the lead of the Drivers' Championship again, right? Since, I believe, Jeddah. Since Saudi Arabia, he's once again championship leader. So... And I don't believe he's that by too many points. So this could really sway either way now, 4 races.
Who are you placing your bets on? Well, let's say this. Who do you want to win from the bottom of your heart versus who do you think is more likely to win?
Right? I think Max Verstappen may be a bit too late to the party. So I think it's between Oscar and Lando here.
Okay.
So... let's weigh their strengths, right? Oscar is extremely cool-headed, right? Nothing can scare this man.
Yeah, he talks like a 30-year-old. I mean, he has the maturity of a 30-year-old person.
Yeah, he avoids controversies.
Yeah.
And there's this meme that, if he's happy, sad, angry, or joyful, he has the exact same expression, right? This one line that constitutes his mouth. So there's that. But as opposed to Lando is the faster driver, I think. By a small margin, he has more pace. Qualifying is a bit debatable. But yeah, race pace, he, experience as well. Tire management, that's all better for Lando. But Lando gets extremely stressed. Right? If he sees a Red Bull in his mirrors, that really gets his heart pumping.
Okay.
So that could lead him to making a mistake.
So you think that as the pressure mounts in the last few races, he might choke?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you feel like realistically Piastri has a better chance?
Yes, I do think because the championship is basically negligible at this point. I think it's a couple points.
Between those two?
Yes, between
But
those
Max is slightly behind.
two. I do think Piastri has the highest chance of taking the title. I may be wrong. Maybe Max, maybe Lando.
Of course.
But it's
But you think he's the most likely to win, right?
Yes, he's the
But
most
who would
likely.
you want to see winning of the three?
of the three. I've always liked Lando Norris as a guy. You know, he's his. I think, the 2019, 2020 era, he was a pretty chill guy, right? Funny guy. He has been a bit more aggressive in terms of personality, especially last year. Even especially when he verbally kind of, I won't say assaulted, but he was pretty aggressive towards Lewis Hamilton, or even mocked Max Verstappen.
Okay.
After winning, he's like simply lovely. So, but I do like the guy.
You do like him.
I have wanted him to win for a while.
Okay.
I would like to see him win.
So you think Piastri is most likely to win? You would love to see Lando winning.
Yes.
And Max is neither.
Yeah.
Because I think Max has already won the last couple of times. He's shown how dominant he could be, and he again might come back next year, right? If Red Bull. Next year is when the design philosophy changes.
Yes,
Okay.
it's another
So it's going
big
to be
overhaul.
a bit of a reset, right? And we have to see who will win. But given that McLaren has done so well in the last couple of years, would love to see at least one McLaren driver win. And I think I would agree that maybe Piastri is one person that I would also, I would want to see Piastri winning. I think he's the one who's kept his head cooler and calmer, and he's the one who's come out better. I don't remember him refusing team orders, but I remember Lando contesting team orders. Not to take away anything, because Lando feels like he's the old dog in the team, and therefore he should get a little bit more focus, attention, and a bit more push, and therefore he's under a bit more pressure versus Piastri. But yeah, I would love to see Piastri win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see what happens. But this was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was lovely.
It's just 4 more races.
4 more
So the
races.
results will be out very soon.
Yes.
Let's see.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to watch the next two, since in terms of time zone, it's not very... Actually, I believe I can watch Las Vegas, or maybe not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, they're out of my time zone. Probably can't watch them. But yeah, last 2 races, Losail, Abu Dhabi. I'll be
That
glued to
will
my
watch.
screen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Okay.
It has been great.
Yep. All right.
Thank you very much.